Welcome everyone. Today we've got a special guest from Tamil Land in Sri Lanka. His name is Dr. Yogi. Dr. Yogi is a politician and a human rights activist. He's been involved with issues in Tamil Land from Sri Lanka, including the genocide that's there. So today we would want him to share his views, his experiences about the Tamil genocide, and what the Tamil community or nation is doing about that genocide and what we can learn from that genocide. Dr. Yogi, welcome to Umdumo interview, which is part of the 1893 Mtokazi Human Rights Restoration Movement. Thank you very much for having you today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tambani Lubi. It is nice to meet you, Metabilan people, and explain about our situation. And thanks for giving me a time to give my thoughts and ideas of what we are doing and where we're going forward with it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yogi. Thank you. You're really welcome. Yogi, tell us about Tamililand in Sri Lanka. How did Tamililand become part of Sri Lanka?
Yes, as you said, my name is Honorable Dr. Sockalingam Yogalingam. I'm someone from Sri Lanka, whereas I'd like to call myself as from Tamil Eelam, whereas in the north and the east of Sri Lanka belongs to the Tamils. Is far back as before the British, Dutch, and Portuguese came, it was ruled by the Tamil king. And it was three part of Sri Lanka was like three parts, which is the Tamil kingdom and Kandy kingdom and Colombo kingdom. There was three parts. The two parts were controlled by the Sinhalese, and the third part of Tamil part was controlled by the Tamil kings. Used to be, but when they were being defeated, when Dutch came and Portuguese came, they couldn't able to capture whole country, so they had it like separate. The Kandy kingdom they never able to capture it, so they had it as separately. But the British, when they came, they managed to capture whole country. So for their administrative purpose, they put all together and they look for those people who's educated people, whereas they seen the Tamils were the educated. And they put them, even though we were 20% of the population of Sri Lanka, and 80% were Sinhalese people. We are divided by not the religion or the caste or anything. We are only divided by a language, which is a Sinhala language and Tamil language. Tamil language is the heritage language. The first language in the world, they call it. So according to the historians, this is the first language of the world. So in a way, we have to preserve that. But as for the Sinhalese, the Sinhala language is sadly it's not in any other country, only in Sri Lanka. And that's been spoken by the majority Buddhist people. So the Sinhalese people want to preserve the Sinhala language and the Buddhist religion. So they intend to spread the Buddhist religion around the country, all around, and also spread the Sinhala language. But as per, we were the origin of the country. Before the Sinhalese came from India, we were there. So we say, because we were there, the origin of it, we had the rights to live in that place, and it was called as Eelam, W-E-L-A-M. It was called. All Sri Lanka was called Eelam. Whereas what we asking for is Tamil Eelam, which is the north and the east, which ruled by the Tamil kings, which is the right thing to ask for, I would think. So that is acceptable by people as well.
So basically, you had your own kingdom, and then from there you had initially Portuguese colonization, and then you survived that. Then you had the British colonization, and when the British colonized you guys, then they sort of joined all these three entities, and then you lost your kingdom, and then you became part of Sri Lanka. Okay.
That's right.
Now, Sri Lanka has experienced a genocide.
That's right.
Can you tell us when this genocide took place and how many people were killed during this genocide?
Indeed. Basically, since 1948, 4th of February 1948, British left the country. They say they gave the independence to the Sri Lankan people and they left. Whereas the Tamils were on the top of the job, they thought we will keep ruling. Like South Africa, that 20% whites ruled South Africa. But when Nelson Mandela came, we were 80%. Why are you ruling us? Then they went for a voting, and as it's white and the blacks, whatever it is, they actually won the thing, and in a democratic manner, and they ruled it. So the Sinhalese actually, they were the majority. There's no question about it. So they can actually rule the country, no question about it. Whereas after the British left, they gave the power to the Tamils, but Tamils thought they will control it, but we lost that power to the Sinhala majority. Anyway, but the majority, those people who came in power, the politicians, not the Sinhalese people, as the Sinhalese politicians who came in power, they used the racist card to gain access to stay in power. So they said, oh, the Tamil is going to kill you, Tamil is going to do this to you, Tamil is going to, so they brought this standardization. So even a Tamil who got 4 A's in A level can't go to university, like 4 subject and 4 A's, the top grades. They can't go. Say somebody with 2 A's, 2 B's in Sinhalese, they will be able to go. So the educated people will get anger about it. So also they brought the Sinhala only language, which is everybody, all country had to have a Sinhala language. If you want to get in the job, you must learn Sinhala language. But then that's put off the Tamils, obviously. They said we are not going to. They were living in the south, whereas in UK, where we are now here, it's in London is the main hub, whereas our land is in Scotland, say. So the Tamil said, we don't want to live in London, we go back to Scotland. That is our land, we go and live there. Whereas there's less property and there's no development there. That is the government's, it's a well-planned action, even in here, in UK. If you look at the Scotland or Wales or wherever, they all suffering more than the London people are, I would say. So the similarity was taking place there, but whereas the Tamils first, they took Satyagraha, the Gandhi's way, no fighting, we will ask for it, that's our rights and everything. But they were beaten up, they got killed and everything. That's from 1948 to 1977. They were doing that. Then they keep asking, we have to have our rights. That's never been happened. So the youngsters said, listen, you are asking, you are not getting anywhere. So what we want is our separate land. That is the only way we can live a peaceful and prosperous life in this country. So they said, enough is enough. So they picked up the arms and fought for that last 30 years. Since 1977 to 2009. They fought in a sense that it's called Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. They were pushed to do so. It's not that they want to pick up the arms. We lost so many people, innocent people. We lost so many fighters for this war. So sadly, they were so clever people, so well educated. The Tigers managed to create submarines, flights. So they had black tigers. They were like ready to do any mission, any time. So that kind of mindset people that we were, and we are now also. But the problem is we are not given the chance to develop the country and develop ourselves. So the people are oppressed and people were sort of giving up hope and fight for the rights. That happened. But the Sinhalese people, not the Sinhala people, Sinhala government, to oppressing our people using all kind of means to wipe out. After the 9/11, Junior Bush wrote that law of if you are with us, you are our friend. If you are against us, you are our enemy. So, and you are a terrorist. From that onwards, that word was actually came out, in fact. So the Sri Lankan government captured that word and said, well, let us show you we can kill off the terrorist, because there's LTT was put on the terrorist list with other 21 countries, terrorist organizations. So they, the first one to say, we will kill them all off. Why don't you support us? So over 20 countries supported Sri Lanka to kill off those people. And at that time, they were said, give us 2 years to do it. But the governments, Americans, British, I will name it everybody. There's no hiding seek about it. France, German, everybody, right? Israel, everybody supported that. Even Russia, China, everybody supported to kill they so-called it tigers, but with the tigers, they were innocent people. So they were killed them all off. Over 100,000 people were genocided from January 2009 to May 2009, within 5 months period. But since 1948 to until now, it's still structural genocide is taking place. And so it's over 200,000 people being killed. Over 50,000 martyrs. They were the fighters of the LTT and other organizations who fought for the Tamil cause. And they were all killed as well. So now the government says, oh, we didn't kill nobody. There's no genocide took place. And they deny everything. But they were enforced disappearance took place. Now what are they doing is they use the army power, political army power to kill the people off. Now they're using some laws. They brought some very stringent laws, like they had emergency law, then they had the PTA, Prevention of Terrorism Act, then they had a Sixth Amendment, which is Sixth Amendment is not allow you to express yourself, not allowed to speak up whatever you want. It is the first thing in UN Charter says, as per if you are within the UN, if you are registered with the UN, you should be given people. If you call yourself democratic country, you should allow them to express themselves freely and speak of themselves freely. If you don't give those two choice, you are not a democratic country. But whereas Sri Lanka, I don't believe Sri Lanka is a democratic country, because if you ask for freedom, if you ask for your rights, you will be arrested, tortured, even made to thin of air, killed off. So that kind of thing is still going.
It's still going on.
There are like,
if I may ask, ask this, Dr. Yogi. So there were over 200,000 people that were killed in this genocide. And how many people disappeared and how many people were tortured during this?
Yes, they were in May 2009 is the end of civil war came to the end. Not even the end of war. The LTT, Liberation Tigers of Tamil, who fought for the Tamils' rights, they actually said, we silencing our weapons. It's going to be, seems to be going to kill off all the Tamils. So therefore, we're going to silence the weapons. So let them stop the war. Then only they came to say, oh, we won over Sri Tamils or the LTT, so we won, and they celebrated it. Whereas there was somebody called Archbishop of Mannar, Joseph, one of the Honorable Joseph, he said what happened was they were from the north, they were pushed over to the last phase of the killing field. And they put in a Manic farm at the end. At the end, the government said it's only 50,000 people there. They were getting ready for food and things for the 50,000. But they came to know 300,000 people were there at the end. So they were intent to kill the other 250 for a start. Even though they arrested, they came in with the government's order, and every satellite of this world are looking, they came in there, right? But whereas Archbishop said there were 469,000, 400 and 1 second, 446,697 people were in the north at the time when this war was, last phase of the war was started. So if that is end up with the 300,000 is in the camp, so 146,679 people are missing, right? They were just, where are they? That is his question, and that is all the Tamil's question as well. But whereas the funny side is, over this 146,679, over 100,000 people were enforced disappeared. Enforced disappear means when these people came over, the army said to them, listen, if you were with the LTT for 1 day, or if you supported them, you send your son or daughter or husband or wife, we will question them and give it back to you, not to worry. But they never come back.
So basically, in a nutshell, is you've got over 200,000 people killed. You've got more than 100,000 people who are disappeared. And what's the number for the tortured? What's the estimate number?
Estimate number is as tortured is as disappeared and killed off was over 200,000. As tortured, still people were political prisoners are still in the prison. And because of, sadly, the government is so good at having the number. Sri Lanka is one of the countries that who could have had like every country, they take the statistics every 5 to 10 years, how many people, how many houses are there. But Sri Lanka had that, but the Sri Lankan government don't want to release it. So it is sort of one way it's a kind of a guess, but it's kind of, we know, we go and knock on Tamil houses and ask, where's your husband, where's your son? It's kind of, we were asked about it. Through that, we come to this kind of conclusion of 146,679 was enforced. They were disappeared off, right?
Okay.
Out of that, 100,000 is enforced.
So basically, before and during the genocide, from what I'm gathering from you, there was extreme marginalization in education, in terms of your culture, language. You're forced to learn Sinhalese. If you didn't get it in the employment sector, you can't get employed in the education. Very difficult, even if you've been successful. Now, and then there was this genocide and this physical elimination of people. Of course, there was a war before, and then from there, there's a genocide that takes place. Now, what have the Tamils done with that genocide? How far have you gone in seeking justice for the genocide?
Yeah, basically, we were escaping. Many people were escaping from Sri Lanka. We were going to next door, which is India. Then we went to Australia, Canada, France, Germany, UK, America. We scattered around all over the world. And we were at the sort of end of the war comes, we were pleading the countries to stop the war. It's innocent people are dying more than a handful of the fighters. So we were pleading the governments to stop the war. But they didn't manage, they didn't able to stop the war at all because they were funding it, obviously. So they didn't stop it. So now, for me, these countries, the Americans, Canadians, UK, France, Germany, any country, if you call them, they will say, oh, we are the mother of democracy. We are the democratic countries, right? The Western world claim themselves a democratic country. So, using the democracy, you killed us. You fund the Sri Lankan torturing country, torturing government to kill the Tamils. So the same democracy, for me, I will use against you in this country. It is normal. It is, I mean, it's my rights, within my law. I'm not breaking no laws. So we are using the same democracy against them, against demanding our rights. You have to give the solution for this because you are the one created this, right? Especially British, they are the one created this for us anyway. So, but we are demanding in America, France, Germany, everywhere. There's one mistake the Sri Lankan government did was they let us out, right? So we are demanding, basically what we're doing is we are lobbying the MPs, lobbying the diplomats, lobbying the UN, and every non-NGOs. We are telling them every time that this is exactly what happened to us. We need justice for this. We need solution for this. We need a permanent solution of Tamil Eelam in a democratic, UN supervised vote for this. Under the UN supervised voting system to have it there. Let the people decide. Let the people say what they want. So that is, in this country, it's the right thing to ask.
Yeah.
Anybody will say.
How did you have you had to collect evidence to evidence the genocide? And if so, how? Because then you may be using the evidence to lobby these particular different. So how did you then collect that evidence to use it as a lobbying bit? How have you done it?
Yeah, basically, after 2009, we were lobbying the MPs and everything. Then we went to these Americans actually want to keep the Sri Lanka also on check, even though the China and India want to invest in taking pieces of Sri Lanka, but the American also want to have pieces of it. So America want to have a check on it. So the American told the UN to have check on Sri Lanka, American and Western world. So what they done was in 2012, they passed a resolution and they made sure Sri Lanka co-sponsored the resolution. There are a lot of resolutions. There are 4 or 5 resolutions, 30-1, 34-1, 40-1, 44-1. To my knowledge, I know that this resolution passed. 2012, that the first resolution passed, it was said, yeah, there was something badly happening in Sri Lanka. We need to find out evidence of it. UNHRC, they were actually went to UNHRC instead of going to ICC or ICC, pushing to the ICC or ICJ. They were pushed to the UNHRC to getting evidence. And as United Nations Human Rights Council, as there are human rights abuse and human rights violation was taking place. It is not a human rights violation, but there is a genocide took place. If this is genocide, they are still not accepting it. But if there is genocide took place, then if that ICC, if they pass that in ICC, then Sri Lankan president and army commanders has to come in there and they should be punished, right? So they've been given time, I would say, but it is getting there. We are getting there. But whereas 2012, they were first resolution passed and said, UNHRC said, oh, we need to go and collect evidence in Sri Lanka, right? So, but the Sri Lankan government said, oh, we are an independent country. Nobody allowed to come here without our permission. So the UNHRC said, okay, we can't come in, right, no problem. In the diaspora, there are a lot of organizations, a lot of Tamils are there, right? They were escaping from that tortures and killings and all that. They should have some sort of details. So they ask us around the world to collect. So in here, as I'm representing, I'm a member of parliament for Translational Government Tamil Eelam and a human rights activist. And there are many organizations, as every metropolitan will have a lot of organizations, as you know. And we also have a lot of organizations. We like TGTE, Translational Government Tamil Eelam. We formed the government in diaspora, like government in exile, because LTT had a government in action that time. When I just going back to a step, like when there was a peace talk was going in 2002 to 2007, but they stopped it in 2006. So at that time, they had LTT was as representing Tamil Eelam and Sri Lanka was representing Sri Lanka. When they were in a table negotiating. So there was a acting Tamil was there. So we could have had excellent government, but that government wasn't recognized by UN. So we could not claim that excellent. So we claim transnational government of Tamil. And we created a voted around the world, many countries, around 10 countries, and people are supported, and we are running it. So we have transnational government Tamil, TGT, British Tamil Forum. There is other one called Tamil Coordinating Committee, TCC. There are other organizations in American, USA PAC, and in US, and in Canada, there are Canadian Tamil Congress and Australian Tamil Congress, and many other organizations are out there in every country doing it. But some people are slightly go against the out of the way, out of the line. But we are intent to trying to keep the track towards everybody to think towards the permanent solution of Tamil. Some people think, oh, we'll try and get whatever we can, but whatever we can get, then you will get half or quarter. What are you going to get with it? They may not, they will take it that back. Yeah. We say we must have this, permanent solution. So this,
okay. So basically,
we collected the evidence.
So basically, you're saying that these different organizations. So you pressured you lobbied the UN. The UN ended up issuing out some resolutions, and one of the fundamental resolutions was that through the UNCR, and one of the resolutions was that the United Human Rights Council would then have to investigate whether and gather evidence as to whether there was genocide in Sri Lanka, in Tamil land in Sri Lanka. And then when the UNCR wanted to go in there, the Sri Lankan government say, hey, we are an independent country, you can't come in here. And then, if I'm getting you correctly, is that then the CNR said, well, at least there are, displaced Tamils around the world. We will collect evidence from them and get that evidence to us, and then see where the issues are. So, yes. So you gathered that evidence, and there are various organizations that we are saying based in different countries, some across different countries and stuff like that. But you collectively collected that evidence. And that's right. So where did you place that evidence? Did you place the evidence at the United Human Rights Council?
Indeed, they were, in fact, they were actually in UK, in Victoria. They were in a hotel. They don't want to come to any organization. Then they become the buyers. But whoever the right, we were collected from the Tamil people. Urge the Tamil people to come and give evidence in our office, or some people who can't come. Maybe they were sort of hit so badly, damaged so badly. We go to their houses, get evidence, and when they say everything is correctly full, then we actually sort of guide them to go to UNHRC and fill up all the forms and send it to them. They would say, okay, we will come and see them. So the UNHRC came and seen them personally. It's nothing to do with the organizations even. So they actually gathered all that information. And the last resolution, 44-1, was passed, and that also sponsored by the UK, America, and Sri Lanka as well. And that resolution was, for that resolution, the UNHRC allocated some fund to collect, and sort of in September, this coming September, that they should have proper evidence and proper information to decide upon. So at the moment, it's in motion to doing that, all these things. But sadly, whenever.
So if I'm getting you,
whenever we, yeah, sorry.
So if I'm getting you, Dr. Yoki, is that once this evidence was collected, so the way you were collecting the evidence, you established some different offices where Tamils, displaced Tamils in various countries would come in, have their experiences, their evidence supplied, what happened, I guess, during the genocide, where, and the locations and stuff like that. So you were collecting that. How long did you collect that? Was it 6 months, over a year?
It's over a year. We've been collected a very long time, over a year. In fact, I know of in our office, we had it for over a year, and we are still collecting. In fact, we are still, they say, well, because they were timed it from 2001 to 2009. So we fought in the UNHRC to say, why are you timing it that way? You know, for 8 years. No, it is from 1948. There's a lot more than that. There are so many genocide took place, or you know, killing and killing against the humanity took place. So those has to be counted as well. So you are counting the last phase of it. No, you know. So there are so many people. There are a lot of people who are scared. Obviously, that's understandable. There are so many people are disappeared. They are not even able to giving the thing. So many people don't want to know. I'm had enough of it. I don't want to know. I don't want to tell anything. So we have to, those people need to be said, or go and reach out to them and say, giving them the confidence that this is something that towards to our rights. And those lot of people were killed. Obviously, you know, our fighters were killed. Our Tamils, our brothers and sisters were killed, tortured, you know, sexually abused and everything. For them, we must do this. In Sri Lanka, they can't allow to do so because there are army camps everywhere within the north and the east, right? So then there are spies everywhere. So in Sri Lanka, those Tamils who cannot open their mouth, but the people in diaspora, we have the freedom, we have the rights to say anything. But that still, people are scared. Obviously, understandable. It's not that everybody want to come in. So we are still collecting whatever there is, giving that to the UN. If they accept it, if they want to question them, they will be able to asking and collecting it. So we never should not be giving up hope.
So the evidence collection is still ongoing. Some of the evidence has been supplied to the United Human Rights Council. Do you know how many people gave evidence to, roughly? What's the estimate number?
I can't actually pinpoint on that number. I would say over, I will be doubted if it's less than 50,000 people were given the evidence, because there are 300,000, 3 to 500,000 people living in UK alone. And this is the second largest diaspora people, Tamil diasporas in the world. There are over 500,000 in Canada. There are over 200,000 in France.
So you think
200,000 in Germany.
So you think it's more than 50,000?
Yeah, definitely. I would think more than 50,000 is there.
So as we speak today, the United Nations Human Rights Council has over 50,000 evidence collection from Tamils across the world.
Yes, that's right.
And that evidence is still being collected.
Indeed, yeah.
And then the next crucial point we're saying in September is that the United Human Rights Council, is it going to decide or make a decision or a pronouncement as to whether the crimes that were committed in Sri Lanka were a genocide in Tamil Land? Is that the next step? What's the decision there?
It is basically, they may not say that there is genocide took place. They might say there are human rights abuse being taken place, human rights killings were taken place by the Sri Lankan government. Whereas the Sri Lankan government says, oh, the army did not kill a single Tamil. That's the way they're claiming it, right? They're claiming it. There's no problem in Sri Lanka, as there's no even a genocide or civil war took place. But it is pretty much obvious to everybody. But the Sri Lankan government just denies everything. Whereas we are collected and given to them. Whereas UNHRC, if they are acceptable, if they agreed on, then they will pass to the UN to pass it to ICC or ICJ. So if they pass the ICC, then they have to fight the case in ICC, and that there is only the one I would think it is genocide or not will be decided upon in
so the
criminal
situation is the United Human Rights Council will make pronouncements as to whether there was war crimes or that were committed.
crimes
And then
against
once
humanity.
they make that pronouncement, they put it to the United Nations. And then the United Nations will have to decide whether there needs to be an investigation or a determination as to whether this was a genocide or not. Then the United Nations will need to then place this to the ICJ for determination.
ICJ or ICC, yes.
Or the ICC, okay, the International Court of Right.
International Criminal Court, whereas International Criminal Court is something that a government has to refer to. If it's an ICJ, people can refer that. Whereas through ICJ, now South Africa referred Israel to say that they are human rights abuse and killing against the humanity is taking place. In fact, genocide is taking place. They openly say that, which is about a year ago, right? Whereas this is like over 15 years or over 75 years it's been happening. So you should be, you can't be denying to say it, But the sad side is whenever these things come together, I wouldn't be surprised in September there will be a massive killing through Israel against the Palestine or Russian against the Ukraine or some other country, maybe China against other different country, maybe action against that. Then that action will come bigger problem in UN and UNHRC, and these things the war been taken last 10 to 15 years, that get overshadowed. And they say, okay, this is not the important issue. We have an important issue right now is the people are getting killed right now. We had to address that. But at the same time, you got to address those people who are killed. So we got to have, in a way that we had to have a hope and believe and pressure these people to achieving what you need to do.
How much support, like you are in the United Kingdom and you are saying you've lobbied MPs in the United Kingdom. How many MPs support this drive for justice that you're making?
We have over 100 MPs actually supporting us we get resolution passed in the British Parliament many times over and over. And to support this, and there are a lot of MPs openly saying that what took place is genocide. And we lobby them big time to make them to pronounce it, accept it, and say it. Otherwise, you are not really doing anything about it. And they said, well, whatever we can do, we are trying to do about it. So there are so many people willing to openly say that. But it's like, as you know, Israel and Palestine in UK now, if openly support Palestine, even the MPs, they might suspend it or they might lose their job. So they're trying to avoid talking about it, right? So that is the only issues we have.
So, Joe, of these 100 MPs, are they across political divides? Is it some are conservative, some are Labour, some are Lib Dems, and stuff like that? Is that the case?
That's right. Yes, we don't consider one party. We consider all the parties. Tamil for Conservative. We have a group called Tamil for Conservatives, Tamil for Labour, Friends of Lib Dem, and even Scottish Party also. We friendly with them, and we want to get support from every party. It's a cross party rather than one party alone.
So you've really done some great work, and I guess it's been a massive challenge, isn't it, to get to where you are now?
Indeed, it is. It's one of the biggest challenges. If you see it yourself, there maybe we have an enemy. To me, our enemy is Sri Lankan government. But sadly, the Sri Lankan government of the British, the English people, they might be the secondary issue. the first enemy would be the people with you. There are people within you will be the one against you more rather than those enemies themselves. Because they would, one of them, they would say, oh, you're never going to achieve this. This is never going to happen. This is impossible. Oh, just forget about all this. People died, it gone, finished. Then don't worry about it. But they were innocent people too.
Yeah.
It could be possible, could have happened to you. You got to understand that they have to understand this could have been you who got killed. And then again, the Tamils, we all for those people back home, we worry about them, we think about them, we always voice for them. That is the beauty of the Tamils I've seen. That I'm sure Metabilan people are, some of them are there like that. But whereas we should, as we are in Britain or America or Canada, if we do have a good life or a peaceful life, it's for the reason of those people sacrifice. That's what we got to remember. So we got to always remember that there are so many people sacrifice their life for our better living. It's like a Second World War. There are so many people who sacrificed to have that voting system, who have the right of living. So that's why these people always remember those people, First World and Second World War. But on the Second World War, after Second World War, they said there's no more genocide should be taking place. That's why they created the UN. But it is in front of your eye, the genocide take place. In, say, Ukraine, in Palestine, in Sri Lanka, in Metabilan, anywhere and everywhere. But the people, those in power, have to come to realize we should not do it. We should enforce that. We should keep fighting for the human rights. That's what it is.
And it seems like you've been very organized and you've been fighting this issue and advancing, and in many ways it's been a struggle. What do you think characterizes the human spirit of a Tamil? What makes the Tamil tick and hold on to things? What do you think is the ingredient there?
It's our language. We are very proud people of our language and our culture, our tradition, and we respect elders, and we want to have our own land. This is our rights to have. Our grandparents, grandparents, they work very hard for those, and we're never going to give up on that. This is something of, if you ask any Tamils that in diaspora, do you want to die? They would say, I want to die in my land, in my sand. So it is in a way that it is within them. It's for them to have the feel and have the belief that it doesn't come from outside. You don't expect for the sake of saying it. It is must be within you, and the Tamils have it big time. And we honestly believe it's a paradise we came from. In Sri Lanka, it was a paradise, and we're supposed to have a good life there. Whereas those people who came in diaspora, they are doing so well in these countries. But if we go back, we can do much better. They call it Singapore is one of the best developed country. One point, Singapore was looking at us to develop their country because the Sri Lanka was much better than the Singapore. So if we allow the Tamils to go back in there and develop the country, I guarantee you it will be a well-advanced country. As you know, like I said, we were able to build the flights. We were able to build the submarines. We were able to build our own way of living, own governments, without any funding by foreign world or IMF or taxation or anything like that. The LTT were able to do those without, they were self-motive, self-developed people. So that is the beauty of the Tamils. So if our ingredients of the Tamils is that, your question was our language, our heritage, our belief. Belief is the more important, that we can do it. We are more powerful, as not the powerful people, we are self-deserving people. It's not that we are just came here for to live a life and die. We here for a purpose. Every human is here for a purpose in this, on this earth. So we have to honor that purpose, and we have to do something about the purpose. And we have to help other people. That's more important. Helping other people, live a peaceful life and prosperous life. Everybody should have. That's to me. I seen in Tamils. I'm sure there are other human nations do have that same, but they all try and keep it within themselves. Being there is called a selfish people. They're called a helping-minded people. You should have helping-minded more than the selfishness. That's what it is. And I think the Tamils are more of a helping-minded people.
Helping-minded people, and you've summarized it very well. That the Tamils have got a strong culture. They are proud people. They are a creative people. They're free spirit. They want to create and develop. And you had developed to the extent at the time that you were developing your own pilots or planes and stuff like that, and you're really progressing very well. And it seems to me you progressed so well despite so much being stacked against yourselves in terms of trying to fight for justice. You pushed up the matter to the UN. It's almost there. You're just holding your breath and see what happens in September. And I think you've collected the evidence, you've moved things up. The UN has got that evidence. Truly, that's a fighting spirit that you've got. And hopefully, others around the world, suppressed nations around the world, will emulate yourselves. And you've got the backing of more than 100 MPs in the United Kingdom. That's not an easy thing to master. So you've done some great work. And it's been very fascinating to have you for you to share your experiences about your journey towards truth and justice for the genocide that happened to your people. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for blessing this platform, and we hope to engage with you in the future. And take care, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tambani. It's been honor and great pleasure to meeting you and meeting your people through your channel, and allowing me to express what happened back home in Sri Lanka, and what are we doing about it. And we will continuously do the same thing. I honestly believe that people, Metabilan people also should do and believe in and hoping, or the hope and the belief is the factors that drives the people. So we never give up and fight for the rights. And what we really want, everybody in this human as such, a democratically peaceful life and a permanent solution to our life. And everybody should have a peaceful life. That's what we want. So to have a permanent life or a permanent solution to any problems. If we have that, then there's no problem of ongoing. So we should have, and Metabilan should have the same thing. We should, and never these days, like we say, it's a Kali Yuham. It's a saddest world out there. It's the things are going in a wrong direction. But we can still, there are few good people out there. So that we have to find those good people and work with them to let the world the earth goes around. Otherwise, earth will come to stand still and all goes destroyed. But the world to go around, the God created some few good people. So we should find those good people and make the world goes around and around so well, and let the peace upon the people, and have the permanent solution to have a peaceful life in that. Everybody, I would urge. And let the Metabilan and the Tamils never give up on what their rights are, and achieve their goals and objectives in their life. I thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for that powerful message, ending message, Yogi. And I hope both the Tamils and the Matabeles are listening to this very important message. It's about peace and progress, not only for the Tamils, not only for the Matabeles, but for everyone, be it the Palestinians, be it the Israelis, be it everyone. All that is needed in the world is peace and progress for the human spirit to thrive. Thank you so much. Until I talk to you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Duba. Thank you. Take care.